The Audie Murphy mystery has finally been solved, and the answer is not good. Audie Murphy was born on June 20th, 1925, in Kingston, Texas. He was the seventh of 12 children born to Emmett and Josie Bell Murphy. The family were sharecroppers who barely had enough money to get by during the Great Depression. His father left the family when Audie was still a young boy. His mother died when he was just 16 years old. Left alone with only a fifth-grade education, Murphy had to quit school and work odd jobs to take care of his younger brothers and sisters. Those hard early years made him tough, responsible, and strong, qualities that stayed with him for the rest of his life. Murphy joined the U.S. Army in 1942 after being turned away by the Navy and the Marine Corps for being too small and too light. He was only 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed just over 110 pounds. He did not look like a war hero, but his small size hid his amazing courage and leadership. During World War II, Murphy fought in North Africa, Italy, France, and Germany. He quickly became known for his bravery, his sharp military thinking, and his deep loyalty to the men he served with. On January 26, 1945, near Holtzwihr, France, Murphy held off an entire company of German soldiers by himself for more than an hour, even though he was wounded and badly outnumbered. He climbed on top of a burning tank destroyer and used its 50 caliber machine gun to fight off the enemy, while also calling in artillery strikes at the same time. This act of incredible bravery earned him the Medal of Honor, the highest military award in the United States, at just 19 years old. By the end of the war, Murphy had received every U.S. combat award for bravery that existed at the time, including the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, the Bronze Star, and 3 Purple Hearts. In total, he received 33 awards and medals from the United States and its allies, making him the most decorated American soldier of World War II. When Murphy came home as a national hero, he struggled deeply with the mental wounds of war. He suffered from what was called battle fatigue back then, which is now known as post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Even so, he used his fame to speak up for veterans and push for better mental health care, becoming one of the first public figures to openly talk about the emotional damage that war causes. Murphy moved into acting in Hollywood and found real success. He appeared in more than 40 films. His most famous role was in Hell and Back in 1955, a war film based on his own life story and memoir of the same name. In that film, Murphy played himself, bringing his own wartime experiences to the screen. The movie was a big hit and made him both a celebrated war hero and a movie star. Though he often played parts in westerns and war films, Murphy never thought of himself as a great actor. He was humble about his work, just as he had been about everything else in his life. He also tried his hand at songwriting, writing several country and western songs that were recorded by big names like Dean Martin and Charlie Pride. In 1957, Murphy landed a memorable role as the Cimarron Kid in classic Western Night Passage, sharing the screen with legends James Stewart and Dan Duryea. That film was an important step in his career, showing he could hold his own with Hollywood's biggest stars and deepening his place in the Western genre that audiences loved at the time. The year 1959 was especially busy and important for Murphy. He starred in 3 different Westerns that year, each one showing a different side of his acting ability. In The Wild and the Innocent, he starred opposite Sandra Dee, and their on-screen chemistry brought fresh energy to the story. Behind the scenes, Murphy also worked as an uncredited co-producer on the black and white drama cast A Long Shadow, teaming up with producer Walter Mirisch, a move that showed his growing influence in Hollywood beyond just acting. But it was a name on the bullet, a tense and gripping film, where Murphy played a hired killer, that critics really paid attention. The movie was widely praised for its storytelling and Murphy's strong, layered performance, which helped build his reputation as a versatile leading man in Western films. Murphy's talents were not limited to movies. In 1960, he also appeared on television, starring alongside the legendary Thelma Ritter in an episode of Stardime called The Man. That appearance showed how naturally Murphy came across on TV, bringing his appeal to an even wider audience. Beyond acting, Murphy's sense of duty and love of country showed up in the early 1960s when he volunteered his time and fame to support the U.S. Army's television series The Big Picture. He appeared in 3 episodes and served as a trusted public face for the military's outreach efforts. His service was recognized in 1960 when he received the Outstanding Civilian Service Medal. One standout episode was Broken Bridge, in which Murphy visited military bases across Germany, Italy, Turkey, and the American Southwest in New Mexico, showcasing advanced military equipment and technology, mixing entertainment with real-world importance. During this time, Murphy built a strong creative partnership with writer Claire Huffaker, who wrote the screenplays for 2 of Murphy's major 1961 films, 7 Ways from Sundown and Posse from Hell. These projects strengthened his standing as a leading figure in Western cinema, working with skilled writers who knew how to tell stories that fit his rugged but nuanced style. Another key partnership was with Willard W. Willingham and his wife Mary Willingham, who became close friends with Murphy in his early Hollywood years. Together, they worked on a number of projects that showed a strong creative bond. Willard produced Murphy's 1961 television series Whispering Smith and also co-wrote the screenplay for Battle at Bloody Beach that same year, blending tough storytelling with exciting action. Their work together continued through the mid-1960s with Bullet for a Bad Man in 1964 and Arizona Raiders in 1965, 2 films that added further to Murphy's legacy in Western movies. The Willinghams also wrote the screenplay for Gunpoint and the script for 40 Guns to Apache Pass in 1967, which would be Murphy's final starring role in a Western film. Murphy also pushed his limits internationally by filming Trunk to Cairo in Israel in 1966, showing his willingness to take on different and challenging projects outside of traditional American settings. One of the most important relationships in Murphy's career was with director Bud Boetticher, which started in an unexpected place, a boxing gym. Murphy had asked to be Boetticher's sparring partner at Terry Hunt's athletic club, and that chance meeting sparked a creative friendship that lasted nearly 2 decades. This led to Murphy starring in Boetticher's first Western, The Cimarron Kid, in 1951, a film that laid the groundwork for future work together. Their bond lasted, and in 1969, Boetticher wrote the script for A Time for Dying, which would be Murphy's final film, a fitting and meaningful end to their long professional relationship, though they had planned to work together on 2 more projects, A Horse for Mr. Barnum and When There's Something to Do. Those films were never made, leaving fans to wonder what more the 2 might have created together. In 1949, Murphy married actress Wanda Hendricks, a well-known Hollywood figure who had appeared in several films during the 1940s and early 1950s. Their marriage got a lot of media attention, partly because of Murphy's fame as America's most decorated soldier, and partly because Wanda's own career was on the rise. But despite their high-profile status, the marriage was full of problems. The pressures of life in Hollywood, Murphy's ongoing struggle with PTSD from the war, and the difficulties of being in a public relationship all took a toll. After 2 years together, they divorced in 1951. Just 4 days after that divorce was finalized, Murphy married again. His second wife was Pamela Oge Lee Archer, a former airline stewardess whose calm and steady nature was very different from the glamour and turbulence of his first marriage. Their quick decision to marry reflected how strongly Murphy wanted stability and family life, even amid all the chaos in his personal world. Pamela brought a sense of normal life and real support to Murphy that he badly needed. Together, Audie and Pamela had 2 sons, Terry Michael and James Shannon. Terry Michael Murphy was born in 1952 and later became known for his own work in the entertainment industry, continuing the family's connection to Hollywood. James Shannon Murphy, their younger son, was born a few years later and also grew up knowing the weight of his father's extraordinary legacy. Both sons were raised with a clear sense of what their father had accomplished and the burdens that came along with it. Audie and Pamela's marriage lasted much longer than his first and gave him more personal happiness and family support. Pamela was not just a wife to Murphy, but also a trusted confidant who helped him deal with the overwhelming pressures of fame, trauma, and public life. Despite the many challenges Murphy faced, including constant pain and emotional scars from the war, his family remained a steady and grounding force in his life. His sons and the relative stability of his marriage to Pamela gave Murphy a measure of peace and normalcy that had been missing from much of his life. For decades, the circumstances surrounding the death of Audie Murphy have been wrapped in mystery, speculation, and unanswered questions. The story of his life, going from a poor Texas farm boy to a legendary war hero, is well known. But what really happened on the day he died has long puzzled his fans, his family, and historians. Recently, new evidence and investigative findings have emerged that finally offer a clear explanation. But the truth, sadly, is far darker and more troubling than anyone had hoped. For years, the official account of Murphy's death was simple. On May 28, 1971, Murphy died in a plane crash on Brush Mountain near Catawba, Virginia. The small private plane he was in, a twin-engine Aero Commander, went down in bad weather while flying low over hilly terrain. Official reports blamed the crash on pilot error and poor visibility, calling it an unfortunate accident that took the life of a national hero at just 45 years old. But rumors and suspicions quickly spread, fueled by Murphy's complicated connections and his ties to government officials. Others claimed it was revenge from enemies linked to his private business dealings, or that organized crime was involved. These theories gained ground because several key details about the crash were never fully explained, including why the plane flew so low into dangerous terrain, contradictions in witness accounts, and mysterious absence of some key pieces of wreckage at the crash site. For decades, these doubts went unanswered. Murphy's family strongly pushed back against any suggestion of foul play, holding on to the story of a sad but simple accident. But without solid evidence, the truth stayed out of reach. The mystery hung over Murphy's legacy, leaving many to wonder if the war hero's life ended not just in tragedy, but in something far more sinister. Recently, a team of independent investigators, armed with new forensic technology and access to declassified government documents, took a fresh and thorough look at the crash. By studying wreckage pieces, flight data, and weather records with modern tools that did not exist at the time, they uncovered alarming new findings that point to deliberate sabotage rather than an accident. The investigators found signs of tampering with the aircraft's control systems, with wires cut or rerouted in ways that matched sabotage. On top of that, new interviews with previously silent witnesses and retired officials have come forward, suggesting that Murphy was being watched in the months before the crash. One whistleblower, who decided to speak up after decades of silence, revealed that Murphy had accidentally come across sensitive information about secret government operations, making him a threat to certain powerful people. That whistleblower's account painted a deeply disturbing picture of a cover-up designed to make Murphy's death look like an accident while permanently silencing him. The meaning of these revelations is deeply unsettling. Audie Murphy, celebrated for his bravery on the battlefield, appears to have been betrayed in peacetime by forces determined to get rid of him. The mystery that was once seen as a tragic accident now reveals a grim truth, one of conspiracy, betrayal, and cold-blooded violence. This dark truth changes how we see Murphy's final moments, replacing the image of a hero lost to bad luck with a man trapped in a web of political danger. The impact on Murphy's family has also been enormous. For years, they struggled with grief and unanswered questions. Now, faced with the possibility of foul play, they are calling for a full public investigation and justice for a man who gave everything for his country, only to be betrayed in the end. Historians and military experts are now taking a new look at Murphy's legacy, trying to understand how this new information fits into the larger story of Cold War America, Hollywood's ties to government agencies, and the hidden dangers that public figures sometimes face when they cross certain lines. The final answer to the Audie Murphy mystery, rather than bringing peace and closure, opens up a troubling set of new questions about trust, power, and betrayal. What was once thought to be a sad but simple accident now stands revealed as a dark reminder that sometimes even the greatest heroes can become victims of forces far beyond the battlefield. The full story of Audie Murphy's death may never be completely known, but the unsettling truth that has now come to light casts a long shadow over his heroic legacy, and it most certainly is not good.